In this episode of the Massagecast, the coaching topics we address include Thai massage tips for how to massage someone with varicose veins, as well as someone with tremors, and also someone who has pins in their leg and has had multiple surgeries and lots of stiffness there as well. I also give some coaching around the question of how often to come for a massage when you're dealing with lots of issues, and also when you feel that resistance around giving advice to your clients about how often they should come. This all comes from our Inner Circle coaching program called Transformational Thai Massage, where we help students get certified in Thai massage and take their business to the next level as well as their practice to the next level. So if you are interested in getting individualized coaching, click here to book a call. But for now, let's check out this Massagecast.
So one lady came, she has had massages, but not a lot. And so she just wanted to do, hand and foot. Long story short, she was very in tune. The lightest pressure was all she could take. And she had varicose veins all over her legs, but like really around the ankles, which I hadn't seen as much before. But it was interesting because so many people want you to go deeper, and she was the lightest touch, and it felt good to her, but I had to really be delicate. And then after the whole thing was over, she said she had something called essential tremors. Have you heard that term before?
I don't think I have.
So it's, like Parkinson's, where people shake all the time.
Yeah.
She has just when she needs to do something such as writing. And so I guess that's the essential part. So she showed me. So she was writing and she couldn't keep her hand. She had to take her other hand and steady it. And then she also has it in her jaw. And it's just, and she's like, the doctors say there's nothing you can do, and as far as, medically, it's not like a surgery or whatever. And so I said, well, I was honest. I said, I have never heard of that. And I said, but I will look it up. And what was interesting is it did say medically, there's really nothing you can do. You can take something to like calm your nerves or something, but massage, meditation, all the things that we're doing. And, some of the mobility thing with the hand may help it. But stress relief. And I keep thinking to myself, so much of the massage isn't about the, I want deep pressure or I need this or that. It's just about relaxing. And again, that's where that piece is always missing for me, because I felt like I had to go through a routine. If I got the routine, then I did it. You know what I mean? Whereas now I'm feeling more intuitive about it. And she just needs to relax, and and I'm sure that stresses her out because it's frustrating. She can't even, she's older, so she's like, I wanted to sign my check, and it looks like scribble, and I said it doesn't matter anymore. But it's funny how the other thing I have to be careful is sometimes they treat you like a doctor, like you should just know everything,
Interesting.
So not really a question, but just
yeah,
good experiences, and she felt good afterwards, so that and she signed up for the following month, so I thought that was a good sign.
That's great.
Yeah
You shared a bunch of things that that bring up stuff that I would want to share based on what I've just been hearing. So number one, if we talk about varicose veins for a minute, I think it makes sense that she would want very light pressure around those areas, because and that's what I would advise, either light or no pressure, and nothing deep or penetrating, touching that area, sweeping that area, things like that, just gently palming. I don't think there's any issue with that, but you don't want to dig.
I took thumbs out of it completely,
right?
And I just did the heel, my hand.
Exactly. But I think it is a good idea, like you said. I mean, you're being intuitive. and you're kind of following her lead. And so just some gentle touch in those areas might feel very relieving and nice, and not, it's not dangerous or anything like that
Mhm.
in that sense. And then once you move away from the central area where those varicose veins are, like you said, so okay, close to the ankle, around that area, I would imagine doing some good things on the foot as you're doing, would be really, really good. Some good things on the other parts of the legs where there aren't varicose veins, where you can, like I would take my knuckles, maybe like on the back of the calf, and do something
Mm,
long strokes like that.
okay.
Maybe on the quad or on the inner thigh, like anything like that. Or just gently palming up and down those areas would be really, really nice.
So when you have varicose veins, is that, I was like, am I trying to move energy, or you know what I mean? Like, what's happening? I mean, I know what it is, but you know what I mean? Like, I always think I want to move energy or get, things going, but I don't know if that you can do that with that.
I mean, generally, varicose veins, where the area where someone has varicose veins are said to be like contraindicated in the massage.
Okay.
And the veins are twisted, and you don't want to cause, and again, it's not like I've ever heard of anyone causing clot or something like that, but you don't want to cause or exacerbate any kind of issues with the movement and the circulation of the blood when the veins are kind of twisted in those areas. So that's why, no, so I don't think it's our role to untwist something or get something moving by pressing in that area.
Yeah.
However, it's like, if I think about it from an energetic point of view, it's an area where energy is stuck.
Right.
And so working in the surrounding areas, and that's going to have an impact in the surrounding areas. So similarly, I think it can also work in reverse. So if I work the surrounding areas in the best ways, and I would err on the side of caution, be on that lighter side, but still I can do more things in the surrounding areas, then I'm going to provide some relief to those surrounding areas that have been working harder. And working those surrounding areas may help to get more energy flowing, or help to provide more circulation in the body. And so in those ways, I think it can be definitely beneficial. So that's really how I would suggest working with it. I have lots of communication, and like I said, err on the lighter side, but any amount of touch in those areas, what touch is going to do, I think, in a lot of ways, it's unlocking their inner pharmacy. It's bringing awareness to those parts of the body. It's heightening the awareness in those parts of the body. And then when you stop pressing, it's like their body takes over and does what it knows how to do. And so I would be relying on that, and not relying on like whatever techniques you think I have to do to provide or produce a result. I would definitely not want to be thinking in those ways when I'm working those
Yeah.
things.
Okay.
And another thing that you brought up, so I think it is very important to have, that good communication with people. If you don't know what something is, and like it sounds like you did, you said, I don't know what an essential tremor is, just like I said it when you brought it up with me. And even in that moment, just take some time to look it up, or
Right.
talk to them, certainly, and understand from their point of view what it is. And then maybe look it up and just say to them, like, this happens to be the first time I'm running across this particular issue, so just give me a moment. I just want to look this up for a minute so I can get a better sense of it, and I'd like to hear about it from you and your experience as well. And if that's not good enough for someone, then that's their choice,
Right.
but I think being straightforward and truthful and caring, and demonstrating that's what you do. And I would say in almost every case, people are going to actually appreciate that rather than pretending in some way, you know, like some energetic level, you kind of pick that up if you're bullshitting, basically. So I think you handled it very well. And then just taking that time to look it up, I think is really important. It gives you a bit more, you know, I don't know, confidence and understanding of how you're going to approach it. I don't know, you know, the protocols of the place where you're working. It would be great, like, you know, when I'm working for myself and I have a new client, I will always ask them in the communication beforehand, is there anything I should know before we meet about what's going on in your body? So that if something like that is happening, they can tell me beforehand and then I can look it up. And
Yeah, it was funny because we do have them fill out a form, and she didn't put it on there. She said something about digestion and something else, and then as we were walking out, she says, "Have you ever heard of this?" I was like, but she
but that's
signed up, so
that's in person, like that doesn't happen before she comes, right? That form, like it's like almost like she's
yeah, they can fill it out online,
okay.
or and they come early and fill it out. It's similar to yours.
Got it.
Uh, but yeah, I just thought it was interesting because she said it out. But then, like I said, she signed up for another one, so I was like, I made sure I know what it is, so I can say, "Hey, I looked it up," and
Yeah.
chill you out.
And then really coming to the specific treatment approach, I think you said it really well. And I love how you're thinking about it and approaching it, that it's relaxation and or it's helping to activate the parasympathetic nervous system,
Right.
when people are conscious of it. And I think that when that happens and there's like a cognitive response to that parasympathetic nervous system, effect going on in your body, it has this really profound effect to help do whatever, happens to the nervous system. And so when it comes to things like Parkinson's and clearly, this and palsies and like fibromyalgia, all of these things are being impacted or impact the nervous system in some way. And this has definitely been my experience, that when you just make your massage about metta, about relaxation, like you said, then these are the kinds of results that happen. It almost doesn't matter where you massage or what you do. If I mean, of course it matters in a certain sense, but the truth is, you're a chef, you're being intuitive, you're listening to the body, you're being present, you're holding space, and you're putting your whole effort into that. And if you're doing things, and from an Ayurvedic point of view, that are more vata relaxing kind of techniques, things that help to ground and center and calm the body, then I think those are the kinds of results that happen. And it's really profound and it's really powerful. And I think it's really cool to think and observe, like, wow, a relaxation massage, like I feel like in some ways that kind of expression about what massage is almost a throwaway term, like as if that's not good enough or that's not therapeutic. But here you see it's in this context, and not just in this context, but since this is the context we're talking about, here's the power of helping someone to relax in their waking time, like literally the parasympathetic nervous system is taking over, and they're having a conscious experience with it, because more often than not the parasympathetic nervous system takes over when we're sleeping, and so we don't have a conscious engagement with it. But when you have it when you're awake, then it's pretty amazing. Again, the body just kind of knows what to do and it moves into this more relaxed state, and maybe you don't have any symptoms for a little while, maybe, or the symptoms are reduced and things like that happen, and they really
Right.
do. So it's not about curing the issue, but it is providing a breath, it's providing a little more release and relief, and absolutely these things happen. I don't know if it's possible to recommend to her to get them more often. I don't know what her
Well,
budget
she did ask me how often she should come, and I like, come as much as you can, but I mean, she's coming in 2 weeks, so I said, I mean, I think weekly would be good for her, but
Right.
it
Well,
has to be.
I thought I heard you say she was coming next month, like, so
Oh,
it's
she's next month. Sorry, I'm gonna close the door here.
okay.
My turn to have the dog. Yeah, she said next month. Sorry about that. She did ask me how often to come, and I wasn't sure. Like, I don't want to, there's the part of me is like, come every week, of course, but I don't
Well,
think
I'm
that would.
glad that this is coming up, so it's your role, and I've been in your shoes many times where I'm like, I don't want to be self-serving.
Right.
You come more often, I make more money, sort of thing, and it's almost like the business is impacting the decision. So,
Yeah.
what I would say is if you feel that, you got to notice that. And I
Mhm.
think you got to honor that, because there's some part of you that has doubt about the value that you bring.
Mhm.
And so that's your own internal work.
Okay.
And I would just meditate on that. And if there's some old story that needs to be released, then you make space for it. You literally just ask yourself in a meditation, like, where's this coming from? Because clearly you helped this person.
Yeah.
She told you that you helped her. So, in the most, so how much more evidence do you really need to show, like, your ability to help this person is clear? This was just on the first session. And when you get to know someone's body and needs and everything like that, then you can help them even more. So if
Yeah.
there's some party that's not sure how to answer that question, that's why I'm saying, like, I'm not saying it's definitely your own old story that is getting in the way there, but it's something to investigate, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
And ask yourself and see if something comes up there. And then if something does come up there, just notice it, hold some space, offer some love to it, make, kind of like with an intention of, if there is something holding me back or keeping me small, or whatever language you want to use around it, I want to offer some space to help learn from it and also let it go,
Mhm.
because I think that it's really important that we embrace a role where we get to be advocates for people's health and well-being. And if you can feel that, that really, that role in your relationship, and I think what ends up happening is that there's an assertiveness that happens, because you feel connected to, I want to answer you authentically about what I think is best for you.
Yeah.
Similarly, if somebody's getting better and they've been coming a certain amount of frequency, you might be able to say, well, now I think maybe we can shift to a different schedule. But for someone like this, I think it's very fair to say, like, if you can come, I know you're coming every month right now. If it's within your budget to come more frequently, like even like every 3 weeks or every 2 weeks,
Mhm.
or say, say whatever that your truth is, but and that's really what it is. So if your truth is, the ideal is you come every week. If
Right.
that's not within your budget, then can you come every 2 weeks or every 3 weeks? And that's up to you to decide. But this is honestly what I think, because we see that we have these results, and then I can check in with you tomorrow and see how you're doing. But if we want to keep building on it, then we don't want to go back to the base zero. We want to see if we're improving a little bit,
That's true. Yeah.
and let's see what we can do here. So again, it's not with the promise in this case that this is going to go away, but if you have, if you're living with this thing and it's creating a certain amount unease and stress and discomfort and, you know, getting her down, depression. I mean, it can bring up all these things in someone.
Yeah.
So if they get a nice reprieve for some amount of time or some reduction in the symptoms, you know, like maybe she can write a check at some point and not shake.
Hmm.
How great is she going to feel, you know? So I would be trying to advocate for that more.
Yeah, that's a good one. I I remember when so I just did the online yoga during COVID, and it started with friends and kind of expanded. And I went to, I think you know her, Shannon Crow. So I listened to her podcast about all that, and she said something similar about, and it seems to be a path for our people, you know, yogis, massage, you know, giving people that we hate to, it's hard to put a number on your service, I guess, you know.
Right.
I don't know where it comes from, but I'm gonna meditate on that. I have to think about that. I'll let you know.
No problem. Yeah, but there you go. I would just do exactly that
Yeah.
and see, you know, and just, or maybe just comes from, I don't know, no, maybe as you build more experience naturally or organically, you get more confident, or you
Yeah.
get more, you know, that shift happens more you know, more forcefully or organically or in a bigger way. And it just kind of starts to happen, which I think is pretty, you know, pretty normal. So
Yeah.
gaining that experience, you're having these clients coming in, you're seeing what you're capable of doing, you're adding to your skill set, you've moved from like, as long as I do this form, to now feeling like I can be intuitive and I see my results. So just keep doing what you're doing. I think it's going to happen anyways, that you're shifting in real time.
Yeah. Okay.
Cool.
So I actually do have another question. So I had a guy come in, and he was an athlete when he was younger, and he was in, some of these people like to talk. I'm sure you've seen that, but he was in several car accidents. Basically, he's broken his leg, hip, or foot on the same side 12 times. He's a mess, but he's a mess, his words. But the way he was describing his ankle bones, he says somehow they're supposed to be, you know, together like this, but his grow like this or something weird like that. And actually I could feel it in his ankle and up into the calf. And he has screws and pins and all that kind of stuff. So I had to talk to him throughout the whole thing. You know, how's this feeling? Is this okay? But when people have all these parts in their body, is there advice on that? Like, I just had to communicate with him constantly, and he was fine with it. And once I kind of got where he was feeling good, he was out like a light, which was kind of funny.
Nice.
But I was a little bit hesitant on what exact, you know, hopefully I was okay, but
I mean, it sounds like it.
yeah. Or, you know, like people have stuff in their shoulders, I don't know, pins or something, or I don't know what they stick in there. All kinds of metal in their bodies. And
Right.
I never really thought about that in terms of massage.
So, yeah, there's a few things. I think when someone's got something like that, it's really important to take extra time before you start the massage. Get a verbal understanding of their history, and then also a clear demonstration of their mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, you know, I mean, something I say every time is that I always want to treat the person first and the issue second.
Yeah,
So
and that stuck in my head because you've said 1,000 times, and for some reason it stuck last week. But can I
okay,
interrupt really quickly?
yeah,
So I did the mobility thing. You know, I'm doing my hands, but you know, the feet.
For the feet.
So the left foot goes all the way down, and the right one, I mean, I couldn't, it was very little. And then I thought, and I got a little bit more movement, but like I could tell on his hip. I mean, it just wasn't going anywhere. And I was like, is it going to, since there's this metal in there, or is that just how he's going to be?
Right. Yeah, it's hard to say. I mean, in some
You know what I mean?
cases, yeah, I mean, because it can be fascia that has built up. So this is where it starts to be like it's different in different people. Anatomy matters, how active and what it is that they do with their body, how long it's been since they had their procedures. In this case, it's been lots of procedures, matters. All of these things really matter. But in my experience, even with the stiffest of those stiff people, if they work with you regularly and you're doing those things like palming insteps and foot fold and things like that, then and everything else that we know how to do, you can see quite a difference. And it's not necessarily that the one side's gonna ever be as fluid as the other side. So the hardware that's in him might be impeding that. And also just how the body heals around the hardware and like I said, and their actual anatomy of their body can make a difference as well. So there are a lot of different factors there, but can you provide degrees of more range of movement and degrees of more release and relief? I think absolutely. So yeah, it sounds like in this case it's somebody who had it a long time ago. So when it's been a long time, I do think it gives you more freedom to do lots of things in that area of the body. And it's just how you treat that side, though, is definitely going to be different from how you treat the other side. So, you can start on the other side first to get a sense of that range of motion in that side. And also, especially when it's a new client, it can be a good strategy because it helps them to build the trust, and helps them to see like, okay, this person is comfortably moving my other leg in all these ways, whether they're thinking about it or not. So
Yeah.
that when they come to the other side that has more issues, they're more in a relaxed state, and that's going to allow you to do more things, and they're not going to be protecting themselves necessarily. And then you're just going to ease your way in to wherever you're able to go, and just basically work with it. And I think that how slow can you go, how high can you fly becomes even that much more important.
Yeah.
So I really want to start in the lightest versions of everything. And then I just want to really explore, so what it allows you to do is just be curious and be that explorer, and not be about, I'm trying to get you to the deepest version of something. I'm just trying to see what happens now when we maybe see if we can go a little farther or not, and see what happens here, and then see what happens here, rather, so then it allows you to be in the moment a lot more and play with it.
Yeah.
So if you decide to do something like, so something like the send lines, for example, before you even do the send lines on the outside of the leg, you're going to roll the leg back and forth. I would probably be spending a lot of time just rolling the leg back and forth first, and then holding it there, and then releasing it there, and then putting it back there. So that's where, I can break it down so much more about what easing in is all about. And that'd be like, I was going to take time to explore just that.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to press a few times, and then I'm going to release that and roll a bunch more, and then go back into it and press a few more times. And maybe I can come in with my knee to knee on the outer, lower half of the leg, and I can use my fists and on the upper, and I can do some chopping, and I can do my dolphin call, and just really play with all of those things and just use all of those techniques to a great degree. And maybe for that leg, you know, depending on how much time you have, whereas on the first leg, you might have been able to do, you know, send lines and a bunch of techniques that mobilize and move the leg. You might not have time to do all the same things. You just spend the time doing all the send work and then maybe some helicopter, and maybe that's it. Or maybe one
Well,
other.
see, that's the thing. This was reflexology. And
Mhm.
that's why, but I was so glad he was on the floor because I could do, well, I guess I could do that on the table too, but you know, my comfort zone at this point was on the floor. But well, you kind of validated me because I did on his, I'll call it his healthier leg first. So that was like, let me get in and make him feel comfortable. Because I mean, he's, you know, he's new to me and I'm new to him, but I'm just thinking like a full massage would be better for him than just hands and feet, you know?
Right. But there's no rule that just because they've signed up for a reflexology treatment that you're not allowed to touch their legs.
Oh yeah, and I told him, I said I'm gonna do a little work on your, you know, this area, and he was, you know, totally fine with it. So it's, I
Mhm.
don't know, it's just the other thing is 60 minutes is too short.
Right.
I remember you saying that, and when you first start, even in the training I had before, I think it was just 60 minutes, and now I'm like, oh, I mean, I actually have to look at the clock to rein myself in, not so much like, oh, when is this is done, but oh my gosh, I have all these other things I want to do for this person. And so I think people, we talk to them and they actually change it to 75, which is, I'll take it. You know, we have a 75 and a 90.
Hmm.
So
Well,
15 minutes helps, you know.
right. It all helps.
But
Nice.
I think that's all I have for you today.
All
Was
right.
that
Yeah, that was great.
enough?
It's always great conversations. One last thing I would say about this person,
Mhm.
if he becomes a regular or he comes back, um, is something that you might experiment with is starting. I don't know if you started with him face up, like
Yeah.
supine, but you could actually start with him face down and work his leg, like his calves or even the sides of the legs, like what you can reach on the sed lines face down, where he's more passive and just it's just a different angle to get into
Mhm.
these things. And you can do stuff on the feet, you know, with the person
Yeah.
face down as well. And then turn him face up and do the other things because it starts to get more dynamic with your movements and stuff like that. And see what he thinks and see how it
Okay.
goes. It's not to necessarily say that one way is better than the other, but it could be worth exploring to try it in a different
Okay.
order.
Yeah, I think he did book another one, so that's good. I like that.
Nice.
All right.
Good.
I hope you enjoyed this conversation, and if you have any questions, if this is bringing up anything for you, then please post your questions down below. And also, if you're interested in joining our Inner Circle coaching program, Transformational Thai Massage, click on this link to get started right now. And don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and click on the bell so you get notifications every time I post a new video. Wishing you some amazing massages. We'll talk to you real soon.